Hello, Virgo. Fear has a very specific smell, and someone in your life right now is soaked in it. Not the fear that comes from external danger, not the fear of something arriving from outside, the worst kind. The kind that grows from the inside out, that generates itself from a person's own actions, that feeds on the memory of choices made when they believed there would be no accounting. That particular corrosive, inescapable fear that comes from knowing exactly what you did and watching the universe begin to organize itself in response. They know what they did to you, and they know that knowing is no longer a private experience. I am not going to be gentle about what I see in this reading, not because I want to perform anger on your behalf, not because I think your healing requires someone else's suffering, but because the truth of what this reading is showing deserves to be said with the same absence of softening that was applied when they made the choices they made, when they played with you, when they moved through your life with the careless certainty of someone who had decided you were safe to use, safe to test, safe to treat as less than what you actually are. That certainty is gone now. And what replaced it is something I want to describe with precision. The first image came through before I even fully settled into this energy. I see a game board, the kind with pieces, arranged positions, moves, calculated in advance several turns ahead by someone who believed they understood the rules of the game being played better than anyone else at the table. And this person moved their pieces with confidence, with the ease of someone who has played versions of this game before. Who knows which moves create the illusion of generosity while actually advancing their own position? Who knows how to make another player feel like a participant in something mutual when the reality is something far more one sided? You were one of the pieces on this board. You did not know you were on a board at all. And that asymmetry of awareness, the gap between what they knew about the nature of the game and what you were allowed to know, is the specific and precise location of their wrongdoing. Not a mistake, not a miscommunication, not a difference of perspective that reasonable people can look at from both sides and find equal validity. A deliberate asymmetry, a chosen imbalance, a game played against someone who had not agreed to play. But here is what they miscalculated. The board does not stay theirs forever. Let me tell you what karma actually looks like in this situation, because it is not what movies suggest. It is not a dramatic reversal where everything that was done to you is done back to them in symmetrical poetic justice. It is quieter than that, more internal, and in some ways far more relentless. What I see happening to this person right now is a confrontation with their own reflection, not a literal one. The kind that happens in the specific moments between activity and sleep, when all the noise of the day has stopped and the mind, left without anything to focus on, turns back toward the things it has been trying to outrun. That confrontation has been happening for a while now. They have been having a version of it every time the day goes quiet. Every time something in their current life reminds them, in a way they cannot immediately dismiss, of what they walked away from, of what they took, of what they left in worse condition than they found it simply because they could. And it was comfortable for a while. The rationalization held. They were good at it. They had practice. There was always another explanation available, always another way of framing what they had done that made it look like a neutral choice rather than a deliberate one. And they applied those framings with the practiced efficiency of someone who has built a relationship with their own self justification over many years. Then something shifted. I want to describe the second image because it arrived with unusual force. I see a mirror, but not one that reflects clearly, one that has been avoided for a long time, that has accumulated a film of something over its surface that made the reflection murky and imprecise and therefore manageable. And this person has been living with that murky mirror, preferring it to a clear one, finding ways to stay at a distance from any surface that might show them something they were not ready to see. Um, and then something happened that wiped the mirror clean. I do not know the exact external form this took. It may have been an encounter, a conversation that went in an unexpected direction, a moment of witnessing something in their current circumstances that made the comparison to what they had done unavoidable. A consequence, not catastrophic, not life ending, but precisely calibrated enough to be unmistakable in its meaning. Something that arrived from the outside and functioned like a hand clearing the accumulated film from the surface. And they looked, and what they saw in the clean mirror was not the version of themselves they had been maintaining. It was the version that made the choices they made, that played the game they played, that treated you the way they treated you, and the distance between those two versions, the distance between who they have been telling themselves they are and who they were in their conduct toward you, is enormous. They are standing in that distance right now. It is not a comfortable place to stand. Here is what I want to say about the apology that is forming, because there is one. The energy of it is real, and it is building, and it would be dishonest to pretend otherwise. But I want you to understand something about the nature of this particular apology before it arrives, because how you receive it matters, and what you do with it matters even more. This apology is not primarily for you, not yet. What is driving it right now in its current stage of formation is their discomfort, their fear of what they set in motion, their very belated recognition that the karmic weight of what they chose to do is sitting on them in a way they did not anticipate and cannot simply decide to put down. The impulse to apologize is entangled at this stage with the impulse to relieve that weight, to do something that might interrupt the process they can feel happening, to return to the scene of what they did and place something different there. This is not cynical of me to name, it is honest. And you, Virgo, deserve honesty about the full architecture of what is coming toward you, rather than a simplified version that positions everything as clean and resolved and ready to be accepted without scrutiny. The apology is real, the remorse is real, and it is also serving them. Both things are true simultaneously, and knowing both things is not pessimism. It is the specific and hard won perceptiveness that makes you someone who will not be played again. Let me speak to something that I feel sitting underneath everything else in this reading. You gave something real. Whatever the specific nature of the dynamic that played out between you and this person, whatever form the game took, whatever it was they took from you or misused or treated with the carelessness of someone who did not understand what they were handling, you were not a participant in bad faith. You showed up as yourself. You brought what you bring, which is not a casual or easily replaceable offering. You brought the full quality of your attention, your care, your willingness to be present in something genuinely, without the protective irony or the managed distance that a lot of people keep between themselves and their own investment in things. You went in without armor, and they knew that they could see it. And they used the openness of it as a surface to play on rather than as the gift it actually was. That is the specific wrongness of what happened. Not just that they were careless, but that they were careless with something they could clearly see was precious. That they looked at your genuine presence in the situation and decided it was an advantage to exploit rather than something to honor. That decision is what they are reckoning with now. The mirror showed them what they did with something real, and the seeing of it is doing something to them that no amount of self justification has been able to stop. Tell me something in the comments, not about them, about you. Did you know at some point while it was happening that something was off? Not the full picture, not the complete clarity you have now, but a signal, a moment where something in you flagged, something that your investment in the situation made you move past. Because I feel very strongly that you had access to information you did not fully allow yourself to act on. And I want to know if you recognize that in yourself. If there was a moment where you knew before you were willing to know. That moment matters, not as a reason to blame yourself, as evidence of something important about your own perception that this experience has been clarifying. The third image that comes through now is the one that has the most to say about where this is all heading. I see a scale, old, the kind with two hanging plates suspended from a central point, balanced by the weight of what is placed in them. And for a long time in this situation, this scale has been weighted heavily to one side. Not because that was the natural balance of things, but because someone was placing weight on their side while quietly removing it from yours, while making sure the tipping always went in their direction. While calling the tilt a natural result of the way things were rather than an engineered outcome of their choices, the scale is correcting itself now. Not because anyone is adjusting it externally, because the removed weight is returning, because the things that were taken have a gravitational pull back toward where they belong. Because scales, left to operate in the presence of actual truth rather than managed appearances, do what they were built to do. They find a level, and the finding of the level is not comfortable for the side that was benefiting from the imbalance. They are feeling the correction in real time. Every day, in ways small and large, in the feedback that their choices are generating in their current life, in the quality of what they are able to access and sustain and hold, in the specific and pointed absence of things they took for granted when you were in the picture. The scale is doing its work. You do not have to do anything to help it. I want to address directly the question that I know some of you are sitting with. Should I accept the apology? And my honest answer to that is not yes, and it is not no. It is that depends entirely on what the apology is, not just what it says, but what it demonstrates. Because words are the cheapest possible currency in a situation like this. Anyone who has spent enough time with their own discomfort can generate words that sound like accountability. The question is whether there is anything behind the words that has actually changed. Changed in them, not changed in the situation, not changed as a result of consequence and fear of further consequence. Changed in the actual orientation of this person toward what you are and what you deserve and what they are willing to do or not do in a dynamic that involves you. That kind of change is not declared. It is demonstrated over time through consistency, through the specific and unglamorous choices made in the moments when the choice is between convenience and integrity, between what serves them and what is actually right. You do not have to decide anything right now. You do not have to receive or reject or make any determinations about what this apology means for the future of anything. You are allowed to let it land, to feel whatever you feel about it, and to watch patiently with the unhurried clarity of someone who has learned something about the cost of deciding before the evidence is complete. Your patience is not weakness. It is the most intelligent thing in the room. There is a final image that wants to close this reading, and it arrived so quietly that I almost missed it beneath the louder energies of everything else that has been moving through. I see you walking, not toward anything specific, not with urgency or destination or the particular forward lean of someone trying to outpace something behind them. Just walking, moving through your own life at your own pace, in your own direction, with the self possessed quality of someone who knows where they are going, even when they are not moving quickly. And behind you, at some distance, I see this person watching where you go, not following, not chasing, not trying to close the gap through any motion of their own, just watching with an expression that contains the full weight of what this reading has been describing: the fear, the recognition, the regret that has none of the self pity that usually accompanies regret, and all of the genuine facing of consequence that makes regret worth something. They are watching you walk and they are understanding, perhaps for the first time with real clarity, what they let go, what they played with, what they will not have the chance to play with again because you are not the same person you were when the game started. Because what they put you through, as unjust as it was, has produced a version of you that is more grounded, more precise in your own knowing, more anchored in your own value than the version that was available to be played with. They did not break you, they clarified you. And the clarity you are walking in right now, the specific and permanent and hard won clarity about who you are and what you will and will not accept into your life, is something they can see from where they are standing. It is the thing they are most afraid of and the thing you should be most proud of. Keep walking.